When I was a kid, my parents would describe me as ambitious, but yet I was always getting into trouble. I never really had a friend group, as I was always pretty much singled out. I could hang around with everybody, but I never really had anybody. I never really took school seriously, and honestly, I hated it and got picked on a lot. And after high school, things never really got better. I never really wanted a 9 to 5 job, as that pretty much gave me anxiety and stressed me out, as I valued my life and passions more than what it meant to be an adult to my family. I went through some pretty rough times after high school that I never wish upon anybody. And one day, I finally decided to say enough was enough. I packed up my car and I headed out west. And that's where this story starts.
Who am I? That is something we know very little about. Whatever it is that we call I is too close for inspection. And although other people can tell you who you are and do, they only see you from the outside. You don't see from the inside. The nature of what it is that we call I is extremely puzzling. There is some confusion as to how much of us is I. Change in our perception and conception of our own existence so that we can feel ourselves the way we are as distinct from the way in which we've been told to feel ourselves.
Every morning I wake up to myself thinking, what do I do today? See, with social media changing and the way people create and the way times are nowadays, every day is its own book, written when you wake up and ending when you go to sleep. And 12 a.m. hits and it goes back to yet another morning. I wake up and I think to myself, what do I do today? My name is Kevin Fuchs, and I'm the founder of Unspoken Visuals. I'm a media specialist, or better known today as a content creator. I just recently got back from over 3 years living out west on the road, working at skateboarding shops, riding horses at ranches, chasing wildlife, shooting photography and videography. And I've got some of the most exhilarating photos that bring the biggest rushes I've ever had. And of course, I met some of the most amazing people ever with the most incredible stories I've ever heard. And the best part, now I have so many friends in so many different states. Although I had a lot of fun out west and learned more than I could ever have asked for, something still wasn't right. Literally driving in circles from Colorado to Wyoming, back to Colorado, back to Wyoming, back to Colorado, and so on and so forth. I just couldn't stay in one place, and after a while, I had to sit down and ask myself why. If I had everything I wanted, I was living out west, living the dream, why was I still not fulfilled? When I was out west, my problems went away mentally, but they were always there physically. Just because my credit card bill was maxed out didn't mean that moving out west would solve that. But I thought maybe it would, and maybe things would change. Many things I've learned during my time out there have helped me in life, but I've also understood that your problems will never go away unless faced. And it's true. Happiness really is only real when shared. As cliche as that saying is, it's true. And as cliche is just another fancy way of saying it's true. See, when Christopher McCandless disappeared in Alaska to find out what the meaning of happiness was, unfortunately he found that out too late, and he wasn't able to come home and share that with everyone else. As incredibly inspiring as that story is, thankfully I found out what the true meaning of happiness was and what I wanted in life before I went to those lengths. Things didn't seem right. Not only was I constantly going in circles, but I never really had any true friends out west, as living on the road is very lonely in its own. Now don't get me wrong, I've met tons of people, but either I didn't stick around or they didn't stick around. And the feeling of loneliness started to sink in more and more, day after day, month after month, and year after year. One night I was laying in bed scrolling Instagram and started to realize that everybody had the same style of photos, and pretty much the same photos too. A group of 10, 20, 30 that I was in was shooting the same photo of the same grizzly bear, and then later that day would post the same photo of the same grizzly bear, in the same angle, in the same lighting, on the same platform. And to me, nothing about that really stood out from one to the other. They're all so good, but yet they're all too similar. And when something becomes normal, I jump ship, and that's what I did. I actually drove all the way home to my home state, Wisconsin. It was definitely a hard decision to make, but it's almost as though I plateaued with my work and I wasn't growing anymore. I didn't necessarily enjoy photographing wildlife or filming wildlife or even enjoying the thought of living on the road anymore. I saw my future start to slip away out of my hands. And every time I got back up on my feet for even the littlest bit, it's almost like I had caught my life. I had caught back up until I'd wake up the next morning and realize it slipped from my hands yet again. And I knew if I wanted to be able to continue to grow as an artist, I needed a big change. And I guess that the big change was me coming home. Do I miss it out west? Absolutely. I honestly think about it every day. But yet, this time being home, I'm at peace. I'm at peace with what I've done, what I've seen. I'm at peace with the places I've gone, the feelings I've felt, the lessons I've learned. But most of all, I'm at peace with my decision to come home. It's almost as if I actually became who I've always wanted to be.